Mario Kart World vs Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart World was just released on the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's the most unique Mario Kart game of all time. Then there's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is the best-selling Mario Kart game of all time. So in this video, I'm going to be putting these incredible games up against one another in 7 different categories to see which game is truly the best. So let's begin with Category 1. The graphics are the first impression that a game gives off, and first impressions are very important. Starting with Mario Kart World. Whether or not you're a fan of the new direction of the game, it's hard to argue with how good it looks. Right from the first race, you can tell the environments are far more dynamic. There's better lighting, weather effects like fog and rain that actually feel immersive, and more animated trackside elements that make the world feel alive. The kart models and especially the character animations have been given a big upgrade, with more detail and fluid movement across the board. The lighting also adds more realism without making it feel too serious. Obviously, it still looks like a Mario Kart game, just one that's been pushed to the next level. Even if some of the new track layouts don't quite stick with you, visually you can't deny how impressive they are. Now let's talk about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This game still looks incredible 11 years after its original release. The lighting, reflections, and water effects are some of the best we've seen on the Switch, and tracks like Big Blue, Mount Wario, and Ribbon Road still look gorgeous. There's this glossy, toy-like finish to everything that fits the Mario Kart vibe perfectly. Because the game originally launched on the Wii U, there are moments where the textures and background details can feel a little flat or outdated. Then there's some of the DLC tracks like Sky High Sundae and Toad Circuit that are clearly just lazy ports of Mario Kart Tour tracks, and these look really bad. While both games are generally amazing to look at, this point has to go to Mario Kart World. The most important aspect of any video game is obviously how it plays, and so gameplay is the next category. Let's start with Mario Kart World. It offers the most variety we've ever seen in a Mario Kart game. There's a full open world which isn't that fun to explore, but it does exist. Then there's the new Knockout Tour mode, which is loads of fun, and of course the Grand Prix and Verse races are still here too. It definitely tries to shake up the Mario Kart formula in a big way, and while I respect the ambition, the core racing experience just doesn't feel as fun. The track design is probably the biggest letdown, as there are only 32 tracks in the game, but only a handful of them really stand out. They all lack a distinct theme, and racing through them just isn't very exciting. There's also the intermissions between races in the Grand Prix and in online play, and these are just boring highways for the most part that have very plain designs and simply aren't fun to race on. Now compare that to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This game is absolutely packed with content. 96 tracks in total if you include the Booster Course Pass, and the quality is consistently high. From classics like Luigi Pinball and Coconut Mall to newer standouts like Sunshine Airport and Dragon Driftway. Nearly every track feels unique, and most importantly, fun to race on. The gameplay is buttery smooth, the item balance is great for the most part, the drift mechanics feel perfect, and the overall pacing of the Grand Prix is satisfying. Mario Kart World definitely brings more variety to the table, but when it comes down to the actual racing, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe absolutely nails it, so the point has to go to 8 Deluxe. A video game's controls can be its biggest make or break factor, and so controls are the next category. We'll start with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe this time. The controls in this game are pretty much perfect. Drifting, mini turbos, item throwing, it all feels incredibly smooth and responsive. Whether you're using motion controls, a pro controller, or playing in handheld mode, everything works exactly how you'd expect. It's one of the most polished feeling kart races ever made, and it's super accessible for beginners, but has a high enough skill ceiling that suits veterans. But as tight as the controls are, once you've mastered drifting, there's not a whole lot more depth to dig into. It's consistent but pretty straightforward. Now Mario Kart World controls really well, but what makes it special is the higher skill ceiling. The core driving mechanics are solid, but it's the new movement options that really make it shine. You've got things like rail grinding, wall rides, environmental tricks, and mid-air directional tricking that let better players pull off some super cool moves. Though at times these new mechanics can feel pretty janky, and wall riding especially controls pretty weirdly. These advanced mechanics opens up way more freedom during races and let you get creative with how you tackle corners and obstacles. It makes the game feel a bit more alive and unpredictable, though sometimes the controls aren't the best. So while both games have brilliant controls, the silky smooth controls of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe are better than the controls in Mario Kart World, so the point goes to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Creativity is the foundation for video games. The more creative a game is, the more memorable it will be to the player, and so creativity is the next category. Starting with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it introduced anti-gravity racing, which is a big step forward for the series. The track design is super imaginative, and the addition of gliding and underwater sections helps mix things up. The Booster Course Pass also brought in a bunch of fun ideas from Mario Kart Tour, but even with all of that, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe feels more like a greatest hits collection rather than a fresh new take on the series. While it doesn't take massive bounds in terms of innovation, it perfects the Mario Kart formula. Mario Kart World is where things get really interesting. This is easily the most experimental Mario Kart game we've ever had. Right away, the open world stands out. Though it's not the greatest, it's still a big shift for the series. Then there's the Knockout Tour, which completely changes the structure of the Grand Prix and just normal racing. Instead of just doing 4 races and checking the final standings, you're surviving round after round after round. It adds heaps of tension to each lap. Even during races, there are little creative touches, dynamic tricks, environmental hazards, alternate paths, and new mechanics like wall rides and rail grinding that really help the game stand out. It's full of fresh ideas, and while not all of them hit, it's a big breath of fresh air. So while 8 Deluxe is full of creative track design and tons of variety, Mario Kart World gets the point for pushing boundaries and taking heaps of risk. Whether a game is replayable or not can determine if someone is gonna buy a game. Video games are expensive, and so it's important you can play them for a long time, so replayability is the next category. Starting with Mario Kart World, the game definitely gives you reasons to come back. The Knockout Tour mixes things up each time, and the open world lets you explore and find the P-switch challenges. But after a while, the open world starts to feel kind of empty. Once you've driven around and seen anything, there's just not much to go back to. Then with only 32 tracks in the game, you'll start seeing repeats pretty quickly. There are heaps of different intermission tracks, 202 to be exact, but these hardly count as unique tracks as you can't even tell them apart. Heading over to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which has a staggering 96 tracks, triple the amount of tracks in Mario Kart World, and the variety of these tracks is insane. You've got tracks from nearly every past Mario Kart game, new original tracks, and tons of visual styles, mechanics, and themes. You can play up to 200cc, add in online play that doesn't feature boring highways and has a proper point system. It's obvious why people never really got sick of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The category wasn't close at all. 8 Deluxe's track selection makes the game way more replayable, and so it gets the point. A video game soundtrack is the most memorable aspect of many video games, and so music is the next category. Starting with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, this game has a phenomenal soundtrack. The live instruments give so many tracks this big, energetic feel, and songs like Mount Wario, Big Blue, and Electrodome are absolute bangers. Even the remixes of classic tracks are super well done, but because a lot of these tracks are reused from previous games or retro courses, there's a limit to how much truly new music we got in 8 Deluxe, especially with the Booster Course Pass relying heavily on Mario Kart Tour's music, which doesn't always hit as hard. Mario Kart World though really steps it up with its original soundtrack. Almost every track has brand new music that fits the vibe perfectly. From upbeat city themes to more atmospheric and experimental tracks, there's a surprising amount of variety. Some of the new songs feel unlike anything we've ever heard in a Mario Kart game before, and that freshness makes a huge difference. Even the open world has a chill ambient soundtrack that changes depending on where you are, which adds a nice layer of immersion. Also, the remixes of songs from previous Mario Kart games and Mario platformer games are so good. I could genuinely talk about them for hours. So while 8 Deluxe sounds amazing, Mario Kart World brings more new ideas and creativity to its soundtrack, and so it gets the point here. Whether or not a developer listens to fans will have a massive impact on how enjoyable a video game is, so fan service is the final category. Starting with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, this game gave us everything that we wanted. Not only does it include nearly every major character in the series, but the Booster Course Pass brought back fan favorite tracks from across Mario Kart's entire history. It also added long requested characters like Birdo, Funky Kong, and Diddy Kong. On top of that, it introduced quality of life features like customizable item settings. Deluxe was built around the players and what they love. Moving on to Mario Kart World, the game introduced new characters, added an open world, and shook up the formula with new mechanics and game modes. It's clear the developers wanted to try something fresh and ambitious, which is great, but at the same time, it leaves out a lot of things that fans really came to love. There's no 200cc, which would suit the game perfectly, and the game only has 32 tracks, which is way too few for what's supposed to be the next big step in the series. And then there's the character roster. For some reason, characters like Funky Kong and Diddy Kong are completely missing, despite being two of the most requested returns. This wasn't really a competition. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe easily gets the point here. So the final score is Mario Kart World with 3 points and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with 4 points, making Mario Kart 8 Deluxe the ultimate Mario Kart game.